Welcome to New Breakpoint, Microsoft's digital event series designed for developers by developers. I'm your host, Michelle Sandford, the Developer Engagement Lead for Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. We broadcast on the second Thursday of every month, and if you join us on the day, my guests and I will answer your questions live in chat. As you might know, New Breakpoint is expanded to encompass Asia Pacific, meaning we now bring interviews with developer experts from all over Asia. Today, we're welcoming Kinfey Lo. Kinfey is a Microsoft Senior Cloud Advocate and the author of the Phi-4 Cookbook. Hi, Kinfey. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you demonstrate the Phi-4 model today on the show. But please first introduce yourself and tell us about your role as Senior Cloud Advocate at Microsoft.
Hi, thanks, Michelle. I'm very happy to join this live streaming event. My name is Kinfey. I come from China. My focus is LSLM. I write Phi Cookbook. You know what is Phi? Because many people say, okay, Phi is come from
Mhm.
Microsoft Research or some product team. But this time, I think I will introduce how to use Microsoft Phi try to use that in your edge devices because many people listen, okay, I use OpenAI, use different open source model, but I have no GPU. But now you can use Phi to deploy in your edge devices. For example, you can run Phi on Phi-4 or in your edge devices, such like mobile, such like your laptop, such like your IoT devices. So this is very, very amazing. So I think, and this time I will introduce how to use Phi in your edge in our session or event. Thanks
And
your
I do
joy.
want to ask
Okay.
one question because I was watching Build last week and I know you were over there.
Mm,
And they also introduced
mm.
AI Foundry Local. Is AI Foundry Local doing stuff for edge devices, or is it a different scenario that you're talking about?
Yes, I think Foundry Local is very, very amazing tools. It allows in Microsoft Build, it can let you to run SLM in your edge devices, such your Windows or your Mac OS. And this type, Foundry Local support different SLM model, just like this is very popular model like 5 family, including 5.3, 5.3.5, and 5.4. Of course, you can use different scenario in your different model choices. Just like that, if you want to deploy a 5.4 mini or 5.4 or mini listening, you can just run it in a very, very simple CLI to run this. So I will share maybe in our event I can share you how to run this. Maybe we can let you to know, okay, if you want to deploy or influence AI in your local environment, please use Foundry Local. Remember that this is just a command line and let you to very easy to deploy your model and influence your AI in your
Cool. I
scenario.
know a lot of people are, I know a lot of people are probably both really excited about all the different models and
Mm.
also maybe a bit confused that there are so many different models. You in particular are very excited about the Phi-4 series. What would you say is the reasons that people would pick this series over other stuff?
Yes, I think this time maybe people to focus the open AI and now 5.4 family. Maybe we talk about the 5.4 and 5.4 family. It is very, very interesting because maybe some people to compare. Okay, what is the performance? What is the scenario of five? Maybe we can talk about. Okay, you can use the Gen AI scenario and create an AI agent and use different AI applications in different model, but this time maybe the local environment edge devices can let you to deploy it. It means okay, it's crazy because you can use the Gen AI application just in your local, or not only just focus the GPU, you can use it in CPU. This is very cool a scenario. Maybe I can introduce you something in my session. Okay. Thanks, Michelle, to introduce this. But I think this time I want to talk more scenario on
Yeah,
samples
okay.
as
Well,
soon
why
as
don't you
possible. Yeah.
show us what you want to show us?
Okay. Okay, okay, maybe this is the PPT. I want to introduce Phi-4 mini and Phi-4 multimodal. Of course, many people say Phi-4 has published the reasoning model. Why you write this? But I think Phi-4 mini can include this now. Okay, we talk about the Phi family. You can see this is different scenario in the Phi family. We talk about the Gen AI or large language model. It can lead you to for understanding or focus different scenarios, just like language, just like coding, just like reasoning, just like function calling and audio and advanced reasoning and MOE. Uh, I think if you follow the file grow up, maybe you can see, okay, our file has many scenarios now. You can use the file as your AI coding system. Just like you can let it to help you to jam Python code. Another, it can support the language. If you focus the language, maybe you can use Phi as your translator because it know a different language or multiple languages. Just like you can let it to help you to translate some Chinese language to English or Japanese or different languages. This is very cool. Another is the reasoning. Just like we know that I think many people to focus the content, including the test. But maybe people say, okay, AI is not just focus the test. Maybe we can let AI can has the eyes because it has the reasoning function. So this time maybe 5.3 has to support the reasoning, but yeah, we has the new model is the Phi-4 multi-model. It can let you to finish some OCR, some object detection, and some different things in the reasoning. Of course, now we in 2025, we are AI agent now. Many AI agent has published. Why can a more large language model or SLM model can support all the AI agents? It's very important to us is it has some function calling and support. So, 5.4 mini and 5.4 multi-modal, of course, 5.4 reasoning can support, 5.4 mini reasoning can support function calling. Another is the audio. You can use the sound to the in the AI scenario. This is very cool because you can see something, you can write something, and you can listen something. This is very cool. Is let AI be a human. So audio is very cool. And this type 5.4 multi-modal can support this type now. Another is the advanced reasoning model, advanced reasoning model, and 2024, maybe we have many successful reasoning model. O1, O3, all this is come from OpenAI, but open source is just like DeepSeek, just like the some open source model can support advanced reasoning now. But if you compare 5.4 or 5.4 mini, this is very cool because it uses the small arguments to train the reasoning model. You can see this is just the 3.8 billion to support the advanced model, advanced reasoning model. This is very good. You can use it advanced reasoning model in your edge devices. Another is the MOE. Maybe MOE is amazing. 5.5 we try some scenario to do this. Some people ask, okay, Kinfei, you have the very talk more about the five family. How to influence that? Because I want to deploy it. How to do that? I think the first step, you can leverage our Azure AI Foundry. Azure AI Foundry is very, very cool because it includes many open source model. As Microsoft, the model catalog. This is very cool because you can choose Azure AI Foundry to deploy the family model or five family model.
So I wanted to give us just a quick run through of Azure AI Foundry, which is our AI studio. This is where you can find all of the different models. You can find out all about them. When you go into it, if you look at the model catalog, they have a bunch of announcements across the top. So here you can check out the new models. You can read all about them in the blogs that are attached, and you can try to understand what are the differences between them and what might the different use cases be for them. Then you've also got model leaderboards, which will give you some insight into quality, cost, and throughput. So, from looking at this, you'd think, oh, O3 is the best model. But in fact, that's not all you need to consider when you're thinking about which models to use. You should be thinking about what is the better use case for those models. So O3 is a really good model for all sorts of things. It can do reasoning, it can do chat, it can't do images, so you wouldn't want to use it for that. When people say what is the best model, it's not correct to say it's O3. The best model is the best model for the use case that you have. You can get ones that are much more specific around reasoning, that are much more mathematical, that are health-based or psychology-based or image-based or language-based, or all sorts of different choices. So choose the best model for the right scenario. How you can find out about that is if you click on the models, you'll be able to read about what they're for, what their key capabilities are, what the different variants are. You can also look at the benchmarks and see how they compare to some other models that are out there and what they're scoring. Existing deployments, so this is going to tell me if I have already deployed that in my thing, and if I haven't, it will let me create a deployment for that. Maybe if we look at the some of the Phi reasoning models, so let's check out those models. So you see there's like a lot of Phi models that you can choose from, Phi-4 models, there's Phi-3 models, and there's also competitor products like DeepSeek. It's not just all Microsoft models that you're going to find in AI Foundry. You're going to find everything that you might possibly need, and you can compare them. You can see whether it's good for what you want or not. Actually, this is showing me like Microsoft licenses there, so in fact there are even more models than that. So you can see plenty of open source. Hugging Face, for example, you go to DeepSeek directly. You can get Mistral, you can get Virtual, all sorts of stuff. Whatever you want, you can just click on it and you can read what it's for, what the architecture is, how it was used. So if you care about training data and looking for responsibly sourced training data, that's a really good new section that we have in there that will help you understand whether you are using stuff that is ethical or not. And we've got a lot of information there about ethical usage within there. So yeah, read about that, deploy that, and have a go with it. So in my playgrounds here, I've got a few in the chat playground, but let's look at what I've actually already deployed. So if we look at models and endpoints, you see I've got O3 Mini, Phi-4 Mini Reasoning, and Phi-4 Reasoning. I thought maybe I could actually just show you how quick it is to deploy new models. So if we look for, what did I want to do? Maybe I could get that DeepSeek one. Where's that? DeepSeek. There we go. DeepSeek R1 for reasoning. Excels at reasoning tasks using a step-by-step process. So it'll give me a little overview as to what it's good for. And if I confirm that, agree and proceed, I can customize if I wanted to pick a different AI resource or anything like that. I could do that, but I'm a bit of a click, click, click girl. So there we go. So now I've got it all deployed. I can open that in Playground and try that again. Okay. So it does what it talks about as chain of thought summary. So it's reasoning out how many R's there are in strawberry. Now, DeepSeek, I would say, is definitely an overthinker. It does absolutely count that there are 3 R's in strawberry, but it just can't accept it. And so for some reason it wants to believe there are 2 R's in strawberry. And so it goes through and comes out with absolutely the wrong answer. Let's clear that. And let's give Phi-4 reasoning a go. So here we go. I would say that Phi-4 reasoning is also a bit of an overthinker in that it is going through and it has successfully counted 3 R's in strawberry, but it's not super clear to it whether that's what I meant by that question. And so it's double checking, is there some other meaning I might have had when I was doing that? But each time it is nevertheless counting those 3 R's. But it is giving me all of its thinking so that I know everything that it's done. It's really like going out and finding every possible reference that it could have. But it knows that the answer is 3. And it's checked it like multiple times under multiple different interpretations, and then it has come back and said that the word strawberry spelled like this contains 3 R's, therefore if you need 9 R's in total you will need 3 strawberries. So it answers that pretty well. But as I say, different models are good for different things, and whatever it is that you want it for, you want to be sure to pick the right model, and that is the advantage of doing it from within here. You have access to all of the models, you can read about them, you can choose them, you can compare them, you can also be sure that they are on a safe, compliant platform that cares about governance, privacy and risk, and you can control those things within there because you have your content understanding, you have your evaluation, you have your fine-tuning, your prompt flow, everything that you possibly need, including safety and security, which will include protection from prompt injection attacks and jailbreaking, and also content and IP filters.
Another is the Hugging Face. This is the open source model platform. You can choose the Phi-4 there. Of course, another thing is the GitHub models. This is very, very good to GitHub developer or some AI developer. You can use that to test some API or some scenario in the GitHub models. I think you can use that to trial Phi-4 and compare different models in their playgrounds. Of course, the third-party support is very cool. Just like the NVIDIA LIM, Olama, AITK, LM Studio. Maybe I can show you. This is a cool one. Is the in my terminal. And in the build. Just Michelle asked me. You can use the Fungi local to finish something. To let your SLM to influence in your edge devices. How to do that? I think we have the very important thing is you need to install the Fungi local first. You can use the GitHub link to do this. Maybe I can give you the link at the underline, but this time I will show you. When you install the Fungi local, you can use the Fungi models list. You can see that if you install that, this is my Mac OS. You can see, okay, you can run a different model in your local environment. Just I run Phi-4 and Phi-4 Mini and Phi-3.5 and another open source model just like DeepSeek, just like Tianwen. This is very cool. It not just let you to run in GPU. Of course, you can use it in CPU. So this is very, very cool to let you to run this. Another is if you have the NPU devices, what is the NPU devices? This is Copilot Plus PC or AI Plus PC. If you use the Qualcomm devices, you can use the NPU tool. This time you can see my GPU or CPU. If you have the Qualcomm devices, you can see the NPU support in the Foundry local. This is how you can use different compute devices to run the SLM or everything. Of course, how to run this? You can see the sample. You can run it Foundry model, run 5 minutes 4K. But this time I will let you to run different thing is the Foundry model run and then select a 5 mini reasoning model. Okay, let us to test that. This is very, very cool because it can let you to download it. The first time you can use the download it. My network is not well, but you can use this to run it as soon as possible. You can see that this is just 2 minutes or 3 minutes as your first time to run. And of course, you can manage your model in your different things, just like you can deploy your custom model with the CLI. You can see the Foundry document to see how to deploy our custom model in it. Of course, another thing is many people think, okay, Kinfey, I think if I deploy the Foundry model support for my fine-tuning model. Of course, I will talk you about later because I want to not only just talk about the local inference model. I want to talk some fine-tuning topics later. So maybe you can focus my later topic in this session. And this time maybe we can see that download as soon as possible now. We can wait the download the first time. Maybe some people say, okay, Kinfei, I want to choose different devices, just like not only CPU, GPU. It's okay. Maybe you have the GPU in your local environment. You can choose the GPU too. So, this time, I think you can choose your model as your different scenario because it not just to download. It can run it very, very cool. Okay, let's go back here. You can see that, okay, we will deploy the Foundry local we will deploy the five family with Foundry local. You can influence that in your CLI. Of course, you can deploy it as the API with Foundry local. Maybe some people say, okay, I want to focus some performance because it's very, very, very interesting. Many people to compare different model in different scenario, just like our performance. This is very, very research topic, but I think many people to focus that, okay, if we use the 5.4 mini, why I not use the large language model? Because in some scenario, you can choose the offline model or something to do this, just like here, we give you the some performance in groundbreaking performance. Here, this is a speech. You can see that Phi-4 multimodal can support the different language and has the demonstrate exception capability in speech-related tasks. So this is very cool, but of course, if you compare the large language model, it has the same result or the same performance as the large language model, but sometimes this is the application you can use that, you can choose that, but I think in your scenario need to deploy it to test more or as the good one because performance is just the performance. This is just a report. You can use it to finish in your scenario to test more or to or give your boss or give your a customer to confirm, okay, it's good. Another is the vision. I think you can see the performance score is very good. It can compare some function can compare Gemini or the cloud result. I think this is very good too. Another is the Phi-4 audio plus text reasoning. This is a very good one. You can see Phi-4 mini multimodal has the state results. Another the enhanced performance. I know that many people is not research, but you can see the score is nearby by some large language model, just like open source model or as the Llama 3.2 or the Chen one or the Michelle language model. I think this is very cool. You can choose that in your scenario. But why Kinfey always talk about the scenario? Because it's very important. Inference AI you can deploy it in different scenarios, but this time SLM or Phi family can let you to deploy in different scenarios, just like the Honest. You can use the Honest open window or Llama CPP or MLX or VLLM to deploy your inference deploy or inference your model. Why? Because different hardware can support different compute accelerator. You can see that some different tools can support the quantization or the conversion to do this. If you want to influence the Phi or SLM model, you can use different tools or quantization and convert. This is many tools to do this because Microsoft Oliver can support the Honest model. OpenVINO, this is the Intel support SDK to let you to use Intel NPU to support this. Llama C++ can let you to come with quantization to and convert in your PC or your Mac OS. Apple MS can support the Apple Silicon tool. So you can use different tools to support your model to deployment. Another which scenario can deploy? Maybe we can think that okay, you can deploy it in your dock because VLLM and OLAMA can support the Docker deployment. Another is the mobile. You can think, okay, I deploy it in the mobile. This is very cool to us. If I can talk just with my mobile offline. You can talk with different things and chat with different scenario in if your AI SLMH AI scenario. Another is the laptop, just like I run it in Foundry Local. This is very easy to run. The last is the Visual Pi. Visual Pi is very cool devices to let you to run models or five family models. In that you can use Visual Pi to run it to finish some.
That's a really amazing that you can. I mean, to me, when you say you can do it on a mobile phone,
Mm,
that's fine because mobile phone is a tiny computer and is much more powerful than the original computers they used to send people to the moon. But when you
mm,
say you can use it on a Raspberry Pi,
mm,
that's so small. That Raspberry Pi. Those are things that I we build with our kids to like build little robots. So I think that is amazing that you can put these small language models on something so tiny now. Yeah, really impressive.
Yeah, Michelle, I have to finish some workshop in our internal workshop with Garage China. You can see I write a Visual Pi workshop and talk about how to deploy the Phi-4 or Mini in the Visual Pi to let the robot, let the more people can use our model in the IoT devices. This is very good. Just I want to show you another special cases this is recall from my iPhone 12 Pro. This is very old mobile devices. But it can run my 5.4 minute on this model. How to do that? The first, you can download the 5.4 minute instruct. from your Hugging Face or our Azure AI Foundry model catalog. And then you can use the our tools, Microsoft Oliver tools can let you to convert or optimization the model and quantization the model with the on this model and deploy it in my iPhone 12. You can see that this is the recording because I cannot show the iPhone in my live recording, but I record the video. You can see the first. This is the air airplane mode. Yeah, you can see that this is airplane mode. It means it cannot connect the network. Okay, let's see that. If I write some question to my Phi-4 mini model in this application, you can see that can you introduce yourself? This is very simple question to Phi. Maybe wait just a moment. Or it can give you the answer. You can see that if it is the old iPhone devices, it can just use the CPU. You can see that it can run it smoothly. You can give it to answer some question. Maybe it's very cool. But many people say this is very easy question, but I will give more or at the once I want to find some at the once reasoning question is okay or not because I run this sample, not publish the Phi-4 mini reasoning. But you can see that I just let it to display. 1 plus 1 means 2. Is let it display that. Maybe this is very interesting because math is many people to want to ask, but I want to let some people to know. Okay, it can give you some advanced reasoning and to do this. You can see that okay, it can give you more or 1 plus 1 means 2 or reasoning and to do this. I think it can say it can give you the good performance in your offline mode in your mobile devices. This is very cool. I think many people ask, how can they can run it in answer Android devices? I think it's okay too. You can try it. Uh, this is another cases to do this.
I think we should just mention to everyone, because not everyone is familiar with the capabilities of generative AI or AI in general, and the question 1 plus 1 is something that many AI could not answer at all, and would get very confused with. And so the fact that this model is able to answer it and that it's running locally on a mobile phone, so it doesn't have access to the internet to get its answers, is really it's really a tremendous tremendous piece. It's a big achievement that it's doing there. It's not an easy thing, even though it looks easy to us as human beings.
Yes, this is another cases from our customer. Do you know the MediaTek? I think MediaTek is the very good cases, good hardware customer in the global. You know the Qualcomm, maybe MediaTek is the another chip company. It use our 5 4 mini to deploy it. You can use the 5 4 mini plus test tool web a model to finish the web scenario. You can see that you can upload all your document and deploy your document that in your PDF document, and then to run it to ask some question just like what is the graph RAG, because graph RAG this is very popular. I download the graph RAG to run it. It can give you the answers. I think the UI I copy it in the open source, but the back-end layer, you can see that I use the media technology to help me to influence the 5 4 mini instruct and test to web to finish the web. Okay, this is very good because you can use the NPU to accelerate the 5 4 mini model to let you to run it very smoothly to finish the RAG scenario. Oh, this is another thing. But this is the application. Just we talk about, oh, this is the IG scenario or the Copilot scenario. Maybe some people to focus the AI agent scenario. Oh, just I say I in the beginning, Phi-4 Mini can support the function calling. Function calling is very, very important to let the large language model to support the AI agents. So function calling, this is the important upgrade in the Phi-4 family. It can support the Phi-4 mini or Phi-4 mini reasoning or the Phi-4 multi-model. You can use the function calling. You can see this is the fourth step. If you use the function calling, the first you need to define it in the function calling. Just do it in the JSON file. Another is the message. Please remember, just like here, I let you to define the function calling in the system role. The first step is the tool call. You can define the different tool calls. I am football fans, so I just to set the sample to some results. The last is to uh, give the results to two. You know that 5 4 minutes don't know the Arsenal and Manchester City match now. So you can use the function calling to help you to let the at 5 4 minutes to know the football match results. Okay, this is my samples in the Visual Studio Code. Let me give you this. This is the notebook. Kinfey always loves the notebook to run different samples. I think this is the first time to show you how to run this. The first, if you want to use the function calling, maybe you use the OLAMA or the VLLM. It can support the different function calling. For here, you can see the OLAMA. You just run the OLAMA 5 4 minute 3.8 and 416 format, and then you need to write the model files to again because you want to setting and the 5 4 minute to support the function calling. You can see that this is how to do this. This is very important. You can set the different format in it. You can see that if the dot tools to do this, if you get the system role or different user role, it can read the different format to support that. It can give you the available function as a JSON specific. So this time I can run my 5 4 mini model in the OLAMA, and then you can set that. Okay, you can use the OLAMA API to support this. Just I want to ask the current reader. This is very traditional samples in function calling. I just set the tools in it. You can see that this is the function to do this. Another is you can use the calling, and then you can see that I send the message and give you the tool calls is here. Just mapping the get current reader. You because you have set it in the function here. You can see that I can pair the current reader together, and then read it to get the current reader scenario and get the tool arguments too. So this time you can call the function calling with your OLAMA tools. Another is not only just support the single function calling. It can help you to support the parallel function calling too. Because not only uh, do one things, you can see that a parallel function calling can let your five family model or 5 4 or mini to support the different functions. Just like just like here, I want to write booking flight and hotel scenario. You can set define the booking flight tickets or booking hotel functions here, and then to set that, you can set more tools, not only one. You can set the booking flight tickets and booking hotels functions here, and then give the parameters too. You can give the description or the type str string, and then give the mapping function calling just like booking flight tickets is pair the booking flight tickets function and then send the request. It will help you to find the function calling tool. After the request, you can see that okay, function calling can support the booking tiles and the booking flight tickets. And then parallel, functions can help you to display that you can function execution is the booking to a hotel in Paris. Is from Sunday and then booking flights uh, arrival and departure the different days. This is really really cool because SLM can support this. You can let the Phi-4 be your agent in different scenario. Okay.
Can I just summarize quick because you that was all super interesting, and I think what I'm understanding from it is um, the LLM, well, the SLM, the small language model, is really, really good in and of itself. But there you are, essentially just answering questions. Ask it questions, it answers questions. When you add function calling to your bot, you are in fact changing the game there because you are allowing your model to interact with external tools, with systems, with data sources in a structured and secure way. So the SLM by itself, it doesn't have real-time access to stuff like databases and APIs and all of that. But once you add the function calling, you're enabling that intelligent automation so it can book the meetings, it can query the database, send the emails, generate reports, all of that. And it's all really, yeah. It makes what you were building really much more cool, much more agentic. Yes, love that. Carry on.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Help me to explain. Another is let's review the AI agent with a 5 4 minute. This is our sample. You can use that to run it to booking your flight and hotel. This is very easy to do this. This is a travel agent. But of course, many people want to say, okay, Kinfei, you only talk about the 5 4 minute or what is the 5 4 multimodal? Oh, this is very cool because it can let you to finish the audio, OCR, and multi-language and vision. This is a four scenario. It's very important because let the AI model or SLM can not only focus some tasks, you can listening and view vision. If you want find some cases, maybe you can go to my Phi Cookbook. This is the link. I think I can share the PPT to you to give you the something you can access the Phi Cookbook to learn it. Because if you are generous, you want to find some video and some audio and write some news or write some information talk about something. But this time, Bible multimodal can help you to gen the publish the news or gen the news contents. So if you want to run this, you can try my model. Another is speech to text. This is can let you to help you to finish some wave or video or audio, also to translate some scripture. Or not only just the transcription. This is very another scenario. And the last is the multimodal. You can use the translate demos because the time is very limited. You can try it in my cookbook. Another is the OCR. You can see that you can use the 5 4 multimodal to finish some old OCR scenario. But why Kinfei jump the 5 4 multimodal? Because I want to talk about some new topics. Michelle said, okay, this is very popular content because MCP is very popular. But many people say, I don't know what is MCP. Why is MCP can we talk about this? Maybe I am a advocate attack evangelist, but I want to explain the MCP, but I want to say, okay, do you use the USB? Because use USB as the protocol to let your devices to can connect to your PC because this is protocol. This is a protocol. You can publish different USB, different size, different style. This type MCP is the model context protocol. It can let your SLM or LLM extension their function or their skill because SLM and LLM trade in different time. But if you want to let the SLM or LLM know your business workflow or your different enterprise tools, you need to extension their skill. Okay, MCP can help you to connect different skill in your for your model or your or extend and your model skills.
So, I just want to sum that up for you as well. So you are saying MCP is the USB-C of AI. It is the connector that connects all the different things within AI easily, and it works model agnostic across all the different LLMs. Doesn't matter if it is these Phi-4 or if it is Claude, GPT, Gemini, whatever. MCP is connecting them all together. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. I think how to use MCP. This is very important concept. Is we have the MCP client because we want to build the MCP support. This is the MCP client to let you to use MCP to connect different MCP server. MCP server we have three important MPT server STDIO, SSE, and now, in the last 2 weeks, we published the streaming MCP support. But this time, I write a 5-4 minute MCP client in our Edge AI devices. This is very cool because I want to let my 5-4 minute to support the MCP. Some people say, oh, what is the different function calling an MCP? MCP, this is a protocol and let more models to support extension and function calling. But function calling, this is the model skill. It just if your model not support the function calling, you cannot use this. But MCP, this is the protocol. It can let the model to support the MCP. Just you write it. Just I say okay. 5-4 minute can support the MCP, but 5.4.5.3 not support the function calling, but 5.3 can support the MCP too. You just use the MCP layer to support this, to write some function to support this. Okay, let us to see MCP server for in 5.4 minute scenario. Uh, this is my 5.4 scenario here. Okay, let me share you here. This is my 5.4 mini MCP client. It can help you to connect different MCP server. Uh, do you know Playwright? Playwright is very cool because it can let you to control the browser and run the different test case to control your web applications. So this time I can use the MCP support to run this. Just I say, okay. I want to let people to know my GitHub and jump to the GitHub. It can Playwright can as the MCP server to let you to jump in my GitHub tool using the com. Okay, let's see how to do this. Just I write MCP server and GH client here. This is the Python script. You can see my MCP client is defined in different scenario. Just I support the OLAMA VLLM. Of course, it can support the AI Foundry API tool. You can use that, but I think I love the OLAMA because this is can let you to run it in the in the edge devices. Of course, you can use VLLM. It can help you to deploy it in containers. Here, just you can see, I when I use the 5.4 mini MCP client to run it, you can see that, okay, this is before use the stdio because I set the stdio as my default for MCP server support. It can let you just to run the playwright here. And then I want to write some navigation and GitHub.com Kinfey. This is my GitHub repo. I set this and then return. Let me show my VS Code. And then because I open many things, this is just running in the in my edge devices, maybe some take a minute, but I think it's okay because it use it to run it smoothly too. But if you have some good performance devices, maybe it can good one. Okay, you can see that when I finish this, it can run it in my Olama scenario and run it to wait the Chrome opening. What's the matter? Okay, wait. Maybe I open many applications, so let the MCP server run it slowly. Yeah. Okay, you can see that when I say navigation to GitHub.com config, it will help you to run it use playwright with COM. You can see that it open my GitHub.com. This is my repo. You can see that this is very smoothly. You can deploy 5 4 minutes. Not only just the deploy inference AI, you can use it as your MCP client to let it to create more smart to do this. Of course, it can support not only STDIO because this is local MCP server support. You can use the SSE to support this. Michelle say, okay, you see Kinfei to have the terminal here. This is I write the terminal. Why I do this? This is the Azure function terminal. You can see you can use the Azure function to do this, just like Chrome, GitHub repo, and Open VS Code MCP together. But I not show you, but you can see that okay, this is another MCP to run it. You can just change the STIO to support this. Just like here, you can support you can change my MCP STIO just like here Python, and then run as to choose different SSE to support this. Mm. So you can run it to do this. You can see, okay, it can different because it can connect clone repo here. So you can write some clone repo and open VS Code instruction to do this. But maybe I not run this now because the time limit. So I just show you, okay, you just change the different way you can run different MCP server support here. This is not the cases. But some people ask me, okay, Kinfei, this is the application now, but the honest you talk about more because honest is very cool. If you do some machine learning or deep learning jobs, maybe honest is very traditional format. It can let different technology to use the same format to do this. Just I say, you can use the honest to run different machine learning scenario model, just the computer vision model or something. And then in the SLM, Honest can continue to do this. Maybe I will introduce our Oliver tools. This is the tool tray to create optimized Honest model. You can use Oliver to convert some open source SLM to Honest model and use the Honest runtime to run it. Just I use the Phi-4, I can use the Oliver can help me to optimization and convert the honest model and use honest runtime to run the SLM model. Oh, this is the introduction to do this honest runtime. This is Olive. This is O means honest. Just I say this is a toolkit to optimization toolkit for the honest runtime. You can use different scenario with Olive. Just like frightening, just like convert, just like optimization. You can use Oliver to do this. Of course, it can support the multi-roller serving deployment. This is why I say, okay, if you want to deploy your different SLM in different devices, you can use Oliver to do this because it can support the honest model. It can allow you to frightening. Maybe some people say, okay, frightening to me is very, very hard, very, very difficult. So how to do this? I will say, okay, if you use Oliver, maybe you love the frightening because this is not the professor or the a professional developer doing. You can use the fighter, you can finish the frightening cases very easy. Why I talk about this? You can use the CLI to finish the frightening scenario. Just I want to frightening my Phi-4 mini. You just use the Oliver frightening CLI to finish that. It can support the Lola and Q Lola to do this. Of course, you can use the Oliver to convert with the CLI. It can run it very smoothly too. You can see that this is my workshop Pi9 in Microsoft Build last week. You can see that you can use the dataset and DeepSeek as your teacher model. And then finish the Phi-4 mini with the Phi-4 mini instruction as student model to strong on the 5-4 minute finish the QA scenario. I use the Microsoft Oliver. We finish the frightening, optimize, and coordination, and then deploy it to the Azure ML, and then download it using the Fungi local. You can see this model cases or the workshop in this short link. This is very, very cool cases here. I can share you here. You can see this is my Azure ML scenario. Let me give you this. This is my Azure ML scenario. You can choose the notebook and then deploy this Azure ML scenario here. Let me open it.
I was looking at your workshop just before we started this call, and I was thinking, like, this is a really good workshop for people to do because you're covering some really good topics that it might take people a long time to understand what is what, but in each section it's only 10 minutes here or 5 minutes or 15 minutes. So by doing this workshop they can learn very quickly across all of these different topics, including the fine tuning part. So they should definitely do this, right?
Yes, I think we can see that because if you want to frightening, you can use the distillation technology. I use the Azure AI Foundry model and DeepSeek. DeepSeek you can use it in the AI Foundry model now. You can download it, but I not run here because you can choose the compute. This is the NVIDIA A100 compute to support this. You can choose the Azure. Compute here. This is the A100 compute. Of course, if you are rich, you can apply the H100, H200 to finish this workshop. Yeah, and then you can see I use the cases to run it to save the data and distillation from the DeepSeek. I not only use the DeepSeek because I use the Azure AI Foundry model, so you can use the AI Inference SDK to call the DeepSeek. This is another sample to call the DeepSeek. You can see it helped me to train the data from DeepSeek. This data can help you to train the Phi-4 mini model again. So I need to fix the some format to do this. You can click here to see the train data JSON files. I think this is the question and give you the different choices. It can help you the 5-4 minute great more smart or intelligence to answer questions and give you the different choices. Another is use the Oliver. Why I say you love the Oliver? Because it's very easy to let you to run it to with the command line. This is the command line. You can see this is the frightening command line. Of course, you install the Oliver and use Lightning and use Mesa, Lola. This is the different Lola and Q Lola. This is the Lightning algorithm to let you to Lightning different model. Lola is very popular. Another is the model path. You can see not use the Hugging Face model. I use the Azure AI Foundry model because you can see the a model catalog because I want to fine-tuning the model come from Azure AI model catalogs. So I use this different format from Hugging Face. This is just for the Azure ML tool. So you can choose not only the Azure ML, of course, you can use the Hugging Face or the local model, but this environment I use the Azure ML. You can see model catalog and then choose the Phi-4 mini just like here, 5 4 minute instruction, and then choose the local location. Uh, you can copy this location from as like here to copy and paste here. This is the 5 4 mini instruct location in Azure ML model catalog. Another is trace remote code because this is let you to download the model here and then the data format is JSON. I fine-tuning the model from fine-tuning the I distillation the data from DeepSeek. Another is the DeepSeek file, the data gender distillation file. This is trade data location. Another, this is format. This is the chat template from 5 4 minutes. This is the chat template here, question and answer. Follow this. This is question and answer and chat play like the 5 4 minute and best step. Of course, if you want to good accuracy, you need to set more steps here, of course, and output the fine-tuning model. This is a Q, K, vision, and some gate project different layers. So you can see when I finish this, it can help me to save the model here. This is the fine-tuning model. When you finish this is the adapter. Another is the model or original format. And then you can download it and to optimization the model because you not only want to fine-tuning, you want to let the model be honest model. Yeah. So you need to optimization here. You can see the adapter honest model here and token and some configuration is the honest, not like the original format. This is the PyTorch format here from the model catalog. But when you finish this, you can see the honest model, including the honest file, including the model and model data. How to inference that? You can use the honest runtime to run this fine-tuning model. You can see the fine-tuning model is the Phi-4 honest runtime Gen AI to support this and run it. You can find it to give you the good result A to choice. Another is why I talk about. Oh, I love to use the Azure AI Foundry and Azure Machine Learning as my SLM training platform because it can register the model here. You can management your model here, so you can register the model. You can see when I finish Pythoning, I love to register the model in Azure ML. You can download it with the some SDK to download it. You can see the artifacts. Artifacts to give you the honest model and models and in different format here. So you can download it. Of course, you can run this model in different things. Is in the local Foundry. You can download it as your local Foundry model to deploy it. Of course, if you want to learn more this, you can run my workshop this time. Okay, I think I finished all the scenario I want to talk with you. And the last, I want to give you some materials to learn it. This is the Phi Cookbook. The Phi Cookbook, I think I want you to read the Phi Cookbook to learn how to use the Phi family to deploy it or influence or Phi tuning in different scenario there. Of course, I love you to contribution your content and in Phi Cookbook because different scenario in Phi is very very cool. I love you to give the contribution to finish the Phi Cookbook. More content, more successful cases there. Another is many people want to read some papers. You can read some papers here to learn more multimodal and paper support. Uh, of course, thank you. You support my session and thanks Michelle to give me this chance to introduce the Phi family. Maybe the last month and last time we have many new topic. Just I say the AI always change every day, every week, every hour. So maybe I can give you more contents to talk about this. Thanks you, Joy. Thank you very much again. Michelle, thanks again.
Thank you, Kinfey, for those demos. That was really amazing. Definitely, they have provided some great insights, and I know that people will be coming back to those time and time again as they use Phi-4 for various deployments. And we're going to link all of the resources for this episode in our GitHub log. So you saw them on the screen there, but if there's any extra ones like the workshop, we're going to put those in to the GitHub log. That's yeah, this has been an amazing session, and as Kinfey said, we would encourage you all to get into the Phi-4 cookbook, and if you have contributions to make of your own, you will be able to submit those as issues or as pull requests into the Phi-4 cookbook. Well, we have been answering questions online in the chat, and we will stay online to answer them for another 10 minutes or so. But thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye, everyone.